Hey, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about some leadership styles. We're going to try and focus on two of them, but before I do that, I would like to just give you a brief overview of some of the better known styles that are out there. Among the styles you'll hear about is the authoritarian or autocratic form of leadership. This leadership is very much the dictator. Could be even totalitarian if you want to think about it in those terms. Very much the my way or the highway kind of leadership. There's the authoritative version, which tries to balance between the things that you can command and control and the times and spaces where you need to give other people the ability to make decisions for themselves about what to do, and how to get things done. There's the laissez-faire version, which says, hey, I'm going to take a step back and just you guys run with it. Do whatever you want. There's the paternalistic, which is very much about creating a fatherly or motherly figure where people come and will talk to you and you'll support them and coach them along the way. There's the participative or the democratic version where it's very much about asking followers, well, what do you guys want to do? What do you think is the best way to get things done? And then there's servant leadership, where it's very much, what can I do in order to make sure that it's better for everyone else, for my followers? How much can I give in order that my followers will know that I support them, and I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that I've sacrificed for them, done what I can to make sure their lives are easier. In addition to this, there are some principled centered versions around things like the security you can give to your followers, the guidance you could give to your followers, the amount of power you're going to be engaging with. But what I'd like to focus on today is on two very specific kinds. The first is transactional leadership, and the second one is transformational leadership. Transactional leadership is very often called management leadership. It's a mindset that says, I'm the manager, I'm in control, and our entire relationship will be based on how much you fulfill my desire and what I will give you if you do what I want. It very much revolves around reward and punishment. It's the idea that the follower is expected to meet certain goals, certain tasks, and if they do that, they'll get rewarded. It will involve a transaction of some kind. Parents use this sometimes with their kids. If you do this, then I'll let you watch TV. If you do that, then you can go and do whatever. When you're training a child to use the bathroom, sometimes it's, if you make in the toilet, then you can get a chocolate chip. So this is very much a transactional form of leadership, and it's about managing events. It's about the emphasis on my relationship as the leader with you and what I can give you if you do what I want. But it's also very reactive. It's not proactive. It's about saying, if you do this, then there will be results for you as the follower. You will get something out of it. It's not designed around the idea of how am I going to change you as a follower or how am I going to change the environment. It's very much about a settled environment where things are set. We know the hierarchy of who's in charge and who's not. We know what needs to get done. We're not in an environment which requires a great deal of change for us to succeed and for us to move forward. Now, this leadership form is also used very often in order to reinforce organizational culture, because when people are not following the organizational culture, then what will happen is transactional leadership will influence them to do so because there is the threat of loss. If you don't behave the way I expect, then there will be consequences. And that's a transaction that's taking place between the leader and the follower, whether it's a parent and a child, or the mission leader in the military and his subordinates who, if they don't follow rules, will suffer consequences for not following the commands that they've been given. So while this helps to reinforce culture, it also becomes a very bureaucratic form of leadership where there are rules, and there are lots of rules, and everyone needs to know what those rules are and understand how those norms and rules come into play for the follower to be able to get what they deserve as a result of their actions. And this form of leadership only allows for one leader. The person in charge is the one who can enact the transaction, the person who can give permission for the transaction to be completed and or even take place. And it's very much focused on getting things done, which means that the followers are very often in it for what they can get out of it. Not because of vision and not because they believe in something, but simply because they want to get something out of the relationship. Now, in contrast to this, we've got something called transformational leadership. Transformational leadership seeks to change the followers, and it works with them to do so. It's about helping them understand how they can be better at what they're doing and giving them a sense of purpose in their actions so that they know that what they're doing has worth, not financial worth just, but in their own ability to improve themselves or improve the group's capacity to get things done. It's very much about transforming the follower and the group as a whole so that they are better able to meet upcoming tasks and goals and deal with the environment within which they're going to have to work. This type of leadership demands a level of charisma and enthusiasm, which is sometimes very difficult to bring. It requires everyone to understand that there's mutual gain to be had. And its emphasis is going to be on values and ideals and morals. And it's going to talk a lot about vision and the needs of the followers and what they need in order to get things done and how the leader may guide them on that process. This kind of leadership is extremely proactive as a result. It's about seeing future and trying to work with the followers to better their capacity to deal with that future. And it works really well in a turbulent or a developing environment where the organizational culture may be in flux or where the environment may be changing very quickly, and it requires the leaders to be able to assist the followers and help them to better understand how they can deal with those changes. So there's an inherent level of emotional connection that's going to take place as a result of transformational leadership. And what's interesting is that very often in groups we'll find that there are multiple leaders, each of them taking responsibility for part of the transformation that's taking place, because this allows for greater innovation and the willingness to be open to new ideas. So what happens as a result of all this is that transformational leadership will create a sense that group interests are prioritized over the individual interest. So if we think about leadership for a minute, there are multiple styles. And very often we'll use one style in one event and another style in relation to another group, follower, or event. Sometimes we need to engage in transformational leadership, and sometimes we have to engage in transactional leadership. Sometimes we can get away with being laissez-faire, and other times we might have to be authoritarian. But we find that there's a best practice for each group and for each follower. And some followers need a more authoritarian leader. Others need a more authoritative leader. Others need a democratic leader. And it's very difficult sometimes when you've got that mix and your followers are a group of different people who don't necessarily need the same leadership all the time. Understanding the different styles allows us to engage each follower appropriately and also to gauge how the group as a whole is going to best respond to different forms and styles of leadership. I hope this has clarified some of the styles of leadership and the forms of leadership that you might come across and gives you a first peek into why someone might choose one form over another. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.